Great. So, hi, my name's Andy Byrne. I'm going to be reporting for Inspired Startups on the Wearable Wednesday convention in Dublin today. And we're lucky enough to have Redg Snodgrass, who's the CEO of Wearable World, with us this afternoon. So, Reg, thank you very much to come along. Reg has been described as a hybrid entrepreneur, corporate executive who understands how big companies can partner with startups and strategically leverage their innovation. How would you respond to that?
I mean, we're going to have to totally fix that. That's bad marketing.
I think it's great.
Entrepreneur,
lots of buzzwords and key phrases.
Yeah, I'm such a glittering generality of marketing speak, right? Basically, what we do is we connect the really big corporations with the really incredible entrepreneurs, and we push to make sure those synergies happen.
Yeah.
We focus on wearable technology, and we focus on creating products that make people's lives better.
Perfect, brilliant. So, I mean, as we said, you are the CEO of Wearable World. So, how did you come up with the idea behind it, and what's your kind of vision for the future for Wearable World?
Yeah, I think the secret should be out, right? I mean, I think, I was in startup purgatory. My last startup had failed, and I was really looking for, what can bring the best of the things that, I have to offer to bear to the rest of the world. And so, I'd done the telco thing, I'd done the startup thing, I'd done the corporate, moving things back and forth together. But what I really started to see is this emerging trend of network connectivity and personal computing adoption and, just really great prototyping and crowdfunding all kind of came together. And it was right before Google I/O, and I was like, hey, if we're going to do this, let's just do it. And so what I did was I got some of the most incredible people in the Valley that I've been friends with for years, and I got them to back me as mentors, and we just got started. My co-founder came along. We got this great designer, Ray. Thank you, Ray. And we built an awesome initial website, and we just said, you know what? Come what may, I think we can make an impact in this ecosystem, and let's just do it.
I mean, you kind of mentioned when we were talking before this interview that you didn't have a huge interest in the wearable stuff beforehand, but obviously now it's a big thing. I mean, what are the kind of your favorite wearables that are out there? And what are the things that you're disappointed in, or what are the things you're looking at or looking for in a wearable?
Yeah, I was Mr. Mobile. For a while, I was VentureBeat's mobile expert, right? And so I was there, and so I've been around the mobile side. But what really kind of pushed me forward, in this and what I really like is devices that are human. And I think our technology has been so pulled and so far away from who we are as human beings for a while that. Being able to see things that actually had an empathetic look and feel. And so to pick a favorite, I've got 35 startups in my incubator and accelerator. I've got...
It's dangerous.
It's an innumerable amount of things.
They're listening and watching. And
I'm not a huge fan of Google Glass. I mean, I've said it publicly. I think that they lack empathy in design and empathy in implementation and empathy as a company. And so, until they overcome that, I think they'll continually fail at moving into these new markets. And, there's always hope. They're brilliant people, but like I said, they've got to capture this. So my favorite part about the ecosystem is the entrepreneurs. Okay. Right? I love people, I love humanity, and I love these people because they are all suffering together through this, building something that they inevitably believe will make all of our lives better. And so for them, if I've got to suffer alongside them and help them out, I'll do it.
Perfect, brilliant. I mean, you kind of mentioned the people being the driving force behind this, and your interest being the kind of human side. Is that the sort of trends that you're seeing, or what are the sort of trends that you're seeing in terms of wearable technology, in terms of obviously the technology itself, but also the people who are building it? Big question.
So here's what I think is going to happen. I think that everyone in the world is excited about this stuff, and it's coming, and everyone is going to be initially disappointed. Nothing will ever live up to the hype or the majesty or the mystique of what's going to happen in the future. But I think that on the early horizon will be disappointment, but from that disappointment, we'll start to really understand what it is in these products that make them work, that make them run, that make them make sense for us. And I think that in that rubble and ash heap of broken dreams and broken hearts, you'll see these guys. You'll see something rise up that's really important for us. There's no doubt that this ecosystem captures everybody's imagination.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that kind of leads on naturally to my next question, which is, in terms of startups, early stage entrepreneurs, they do often struggle. There are a lot of the time some of them left in the ashes, left in the rubble. They struggle for resources. What are the secrets to kind of perseverance, beating the competitor, and particularly competitors with larger resources or who maybe already have connections and pull?
You need to be a hardened, deeply disciplined, mean motherfucker, right?
Can we say that?
Yeah.
We can probably edit that.
I mean, doing a startup is hard. Doing a hardware startup is hard. It's nearly impossible. Like when you look at what you're doing, you have an idea. Now, you got to find money to just build like your prototype. You can't hack together code in order to make it happen to A/B test. I mean, these are all things that you have to go through. So, do not take the path to being a hardware entrepreneur lightly, because crowdfunding is not as easy as you think it is, right? I mean, we've had two almost $3 million crowdfunding startups in our first class. Watching them do that, it was painful. I hurt for these incredible people. I think acknowledging that it's hard and then just saying what I've got to build, I have to build it because it is important. It's important. And building it, and making sure if you have the belief and you have the function, to actually begin knit this stuff together, being able to be infectious to other people. Guys in Europe, start not talking about how skilled you are or how you're going to build those things. It's okay to tell people that you're good at stuff. Don't be arrogant about it.
So is there a case that European groups, European startups need to kind of brag more and need to kind of be a lot more vocal about what they do?
Brag is not. Having confidence and explaining your ability to execute on the thing in front of you is the way that you're going to be successful in the future. And if you're not there, say it anyway and then fucking make it so. Right? We're all self-actualized. We all know the things that we need to do. If you go out there and you work really hard at being excellent at the things you're good at, and the things that you're good at, put those things together, inevitably, if you have the stomach to endure all the pain and all the stress. I did not have this white streak. This was my first startup. This one is Wearable World.
I think everyone out there who's ever been involved in a startup has some. I have little white streaks that my hair is shaved short, so you can't see it. So, I mean, you've obviously worked with a lot of big companies as well. What can startups learn from the big companies, from their successes, or vice versa? What can big companies learn from the startups?
I think a lot of startups that are competing against big companies are competing against product groups, and some of those product groups aren't even as capitalized as some of the startups that they're competing against. So never let it's never always the story of David and Goliath. It's always the story of David and a hampered David that can't move because he's encumbered by corporate management, right? I think the one thing that you should take away from them is that these larger corporations have learned how to build brands, and building a brand is something that I would say 95% of startups have no clue about. Figure out how to build your brand. Learn how they do that. Learn how they dictate those things. And I think that you're going to go a long way with your success, because building a hardware startup is about your brand and matching it up to the right people. And if you can do that, that is a pathway to success. Big companies do that, but also big companies are opening up checkbooks, they're opening up design studios, they're opening up everything in order to make the startups in this ecosystem successful. Tap into that and don't shy away from it, even for a second.
Brilliant. I mean, you work a lot over in Silicon Valley. What are the latest kind of trends coming out of there? And I mean, what's the startup scene like in Silicon Valley? Because obviously, so many companies in Europe and in Ireland in particular aspire to be kind of part of that Silicon Valley mentality or the kind of buzz of it. What's the startup scene like there, and what are the kind of pitfalls as well?
I'm a tiny farm boy from Oklahoma. I've been in San Francisco 6-7 years. So I tried to raise money in Oklahoma and I could not. So I understand the pain of being in those situations. I think the thing that San Francisco does really well is they collaborate, they talk, they give advice, they're not afraid. They understand that it's not about the idea, it's about the execution of it. And if I tell you my idea and you go out and build it and you kick my ass at it, you know what? You're just better than me, and you would have figured it out anyway if I hadn't told you in the first place. But the minutes of feedback that we have between each other, I'm going to learn as much as I can from you in order to go and build a very successful product, make you think, shit, that guy's really smart. I'm not going to have to worry about that. Like, that's one of the things. I think the other thing is the fact that, you know, struggle and fight to keep your position of equity in your startups. If not for you, for the fact that when you finally exit, like, you want to be able to take that money back to the guys and, like, look at those investors that took advantage of the people in your ecosystem and completely iron them out. You know, I mean, I think that that's the biggest fallacy is, like, if you want to build a really big ecosystem, you get a lot of guys with some big exits that have big equity that come back here, and guess what they do? They're not dicks when they invest. Like, they're investing in, you know, guys that they grew up with, guys that were in the trenches with them, and those guys inevitably, guess what, will be successful, and those other guys will make more money. And that's how an ecosystem is created, like Silicon Valley, where people have tons of exits, and they look at a lot of ideas, and they drop 10, 20, 30 at decent valuations. Those guys and women go on and, like, do those exits, and they drop in their money.
I suppose this kind of a continuing theme of the lesson there. It's about people, and if you're not going to be, you know, an idiot to people,
yeah,
there's the potential then for great things to come out.
Yeah, it's we have a no asshole policy, and I think that that's my favorite thing. I think that's ending in the Valley is that, you know, in the past we've endured a lot of, like, bad characters, bad actors, and extremely poor human beings. And I think that the biggest trend right now is, like, that doesn't work in the new world. It doesn't work in the startups, and I don't put up with that shit. So, I mean, like, I am encouraged to see, like, really incredible people rising to the top, and a lot of these other guys, like becoming irrelevant because no one cares if you're an asshole. You know, fine, you'll be irrelevant. Like, someone else will take your place who, you know what, is going to work to help people out. And that is my favorite trend that's happening in the Valley. And we're pushing to encourage and accelerate it.
Brilliant. The only thing you're going to have to worry about in Ireland is annoying interviewers.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
So, very, very quickly, final top tips for young entrepreneurs or young startups out there in Ireland.
One, don't do it. Right? Yeah,
we can't say that.
I told somebody, I was like, they're like, Reg, you want to be an entrepreneur? I don't have to. I was like, all right, so here's what you do. Go behind a barn and have someone kick you in the nuts as hard as you can for 10 minutes. And then if you get back on the ground and you still want to do it, have them kick you for another 5. And then, you know, if you've gone through that and you still think that this is great and you want to do it, I'll give you some money, right? I mean, because the first thing that you got to understand is it's hard, right? And just be there to embrace it, be present with it, realize that the people that are coming alongside you, give them equity. Let them have real value in your company and build it with them. I've got some junior people who have more equity than any of you guys would ever give anyone, you know? And I do that because I want them to share in the experience and suffer alongside me. I know, you know, like the Feed Henry guys are great guys. I've known them for years. They're great Irish entrepreneurs. They'll know more about it than I will. What I will say that I appreciate is being able to come up with a niche, unique use case that makes people's lives better. If you can figure out that one little niche use case and you can build your empire around that niche use case, Scully is a motorcycle helmet. Avagant Glyph is a video finder.
Yeah.
You know, LumaBack straightens your posture. Finding little bits and pieces of things that just make people's lives better. Don't worry about monetization. Worry about creating products that really enhance people's lives because people pay for an enhanced life.
And the market will find itself.
And the market will just go that direction. That should be your focus. Right? And then when you're ready, like, definitely call it. We're an Incubator/Accelerator/EIR program. So we handle the whole stack. Like, I would love to just have a chat. If you're really smart, like, I will find you a place with one of my startups, or we will help you build your own. I mean, that's, like, you know, I have a very blessed life with a lot of great people that have helped me move forward. And if I don't, like, do that with other people, then I'd break my own biggest principle, which is being an asshole. I allocate most of my time now for my startups because those guys give us equity, like 1 to 3%. It's not a lot, but so I don't have as much time as I used to. However, like 5-minute chat on Facebook, if you want to reach out to me, Redg, R-E-D-G, Snodgrass. Friend me, ask me a question. Like, I'll help if I can, as long as it's fast. Don't hate me if I'm like can't be super engaged. But like I said, I mean, I genuinely care about you and your success, because I think if you're successful in not being an asshole, growing the human spirit, like helping everything else like that, then it works for me too.
Great message.
Thank you, guys.
Redg Snodgrass, CEO of Wearable World, thank you very much.
All right.
I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, let's go to a pub now.
Let's go to a pub now.
All
I've
right.
been Andy for InspiredStartups.com at Wearable Wednesday, Ireland. Thanks very much. Bye.
All right.